Let's go. Another episode of the McKale Tennis Podcast. That's Corey Williams. I'm Saul Bookman. Welcome to our humble abode, as both of us are rocking some pretty dope signs behind us, but we'll get to that in a little bit. As always, make sure you like and subscribe here on this YouTube channel. And also listen, the McKale Madness podcast has its own feed on Spotify and YouTube, or Spotify or whatever platform you like to listen to your podcast. So do us a favor, go subscribe, like, and give us a rating. We would really appreciate it. Even give us a nice little comment saying how much you enjoy the show. We've gotten so much great feedback in the first couple weeks of this, and we really do appreciate it. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to get into. But first, Corey, obviously a little change happened over on Saturday when the Wildcats took on Southern Utah by the way of Kevin Johnson. Oh my goodness. KJ Lewis.
KJ Lewis. Phoenix Suns. I give you that one. That's honest mistake.
KJ coming off the bench. Carter Bryant getting the start. And that was a new little twist, a little wrinkle, and apparently Tommy Lloyd was KJ went up to Tommy Lloyd and talked to him about it and said, I think this would benefit the team, and they agreed and they allowed that to happen. And I thought overall it was a success.
I mean, it's hard to gauge the impact because minutes are minutes. Did you get more out of Carter Bryant because he started the game? Did he play different? Does he have more confidence? Does it change the way the team starts games? I mean, it's hard to measure in a game like that. I'm not going to say they weren't a worthy adversary. They were a little bit overmatched against Arizona. But in terms of getting and developing a young freshman who's going to be a star, I think it's a positive move. We'll see how it looks going forward because I think Arizona only has one or two gimme games left on their schedule. I think Samford and Central Michigan are the last of the layups, and that'll be a good opportunity for him to try to find some rhythm, talking about Carter Bryant.
3 games left until the conference season begins, and obviously they only got one more opportunity, Corey, to get a solid dub underneath their belt in the non-conference schedule, and that really is UCLA on Saturday up here in Phoenix. Outside of that, as you mentioned, the 2 teams that they have left on the schedule are just not going to move the needle when it comes to Selection Sunday. So, and obviously that's taken into account that this is a brutal conference. Like, this is going to be, the winner of this conference might not win more than 23, 24 games on the year. Kansas, as you just saw, lost to 2 ranked teams. The first time a number 1 ranked team has lost to 2 unranked teams in back-to-back games since like the 40s or 50s or something like that. It's just wild. It's crazy. Like this whole season has been up and down, inside out. It's been wild. That's why you can't overreact to what happens at the beginning of the season, because all these teams are trying to figure it out, and it's all well and good. You got good vibes if you're in the non-comp or you're in the preseason or in your training camp and you're trying to get everything going and you played all summer. So, you're feeling pretty good about your squad. Until the rubber meets the road and you realize, oh yeah, every other school feels the same way until they get on the court. So I like the ability of Tommy Lloyd to be receptive to players' interests and comfortability on the court. And I think that was a good thing for KJ to kind of get some spot minutes coming off the bench. He feels like, he would have been. Listen, anytime a player comes up to a coach, in my opinion, if a player comes up and says, Coach, I think I'd be best suited for the team in this way, you have to listen and have an open mind about it, because clearly it's for a reason, according to that player's perspective.
All right. So I'm a skeptic. I don't know that it went down. I don't know that it went down that way. That's the way it was delivered to the media. I don't just see guys walking in saying, hey, I'm a starter at Arizona. I'd like to give up my spot to the freshman. Maybe it did happen. I don't know. I doubt it happened, but that's just me personally as a former hooper, like, I don't know. But either way, the point is the coaching staff looking at their weapons, trying to bring guys along. It's obviously a solution. If KJ came up with it or Tommy came up with it, it doesn't even matter. Like you said, they're all trying to figure it out. Reminds me of the movie Wizard of Oz. You've seen Wizard of Oz, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The scene where they pull back the curtain And this little man is back there working that machine. He's cranking the dial and pumping the smoke and making the thunder noise, and he's trying to do everything he can to intimidate Dorothy and the rest of her crew. And you find out, man, this guy's like a one-man band. He's trying anything to pull this off. That's what I feel like Tommy Lloyd is doing right now. He's the man behind the curtain. He's yanking things and twisting things and trying to find the lineups and the motivation to get this team to perform at the level that it's capable of. But that's his job. So, I mean, take it for whatever you want to, you look at that last game. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. I don't know. We'll find out for sure on Saturday if this rotation, this lineup change is effective. But man, his job, he's earning his paycheck this year. He's got talented players, but he's got to find that rhythm and consistency.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have no idea what was said behind closed doors, but I thought it was effective and against UCLA, which we will get into here in a little bit. I think this is a really good opportunity for Arizona to get a solid dub under the belt against a ranked team, and finally start to feel good about the projection of this season. And when you look at a Carter Bryant, I will say this about Carter Bryant, and there's been a lot of people that have clamored for Carter to get some more minutes, and I understand why, because you're feeling like he's the one that if he can ball out, he can take some of the need or the pressure off of hoping Caleb Love can perform at an all-time high level in order to get you further into the tournament. I would say that. Like, I think Carter Bryant has that ability. He just has to get comfortable out there on the court in his own skin. And I think, as a freshman, it takes you a couple games to kind of get, weathered, if you will. And maybe being a starter is a sort of comfortability that he has, that he's familiar with, that will kind of, push him over that edge and get him to a point where he becomes a valuable contributor on a game-to-game basis.
Well, take you inside the mind of an athlete. I played basketball competitively for 25 years. And this arc that I'm going to describe is the same no matter what player we're talking about. But when you talk about a freshman in college, basketball is the most difficult it's ever been in your life at that moment. The players are bigger, stronger, and faster, and you don't have those advantages you had in high school. So you go from flying high to rock bottom. That's for every freshman, Cooper flag included. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what the critics say or what your rankings are or the media hype around you. The game of basketball has never been more difficult for you than it is right now. So getting moved into the starting lineup, it can help. It can help a kid's confidence. But most of the time, it's about, okay, how do I adjust and begin to have some success at this new level? And a lot of it is psychological because he has a great skill set. But you want the kid to feel confident. I never was going to be the player I was as a senior in high school, as a freshman at Arizona. It just wasn't going to happen for me. But if you can capture moments of that player, then you're off to a good start. So it'll be interesting to see. It really will be.
On the Knuckleheads podcast, they always ask this question to all the pros. They always say, "Who's the first person to bust your ass in the league?" When you got on campus to U of A, who's the first person? What was the moment or the first person to kind of get you that you were like, "Damn, okay, this is different. This is just different."
Well, one of the best things that ever happened to me in life is I came to Arizona as a freshman and I had to guard Chris Mills, who was one of the best players in the country.
Yeah.
I'm in the stack. He pushes me in the chest. He goes out and he hits a three. And my teammates look at me like, yo, you got to get out there on that. I'm like, well, damn. Okay. So the next time he's in the stack, I come off the stack. Ed Stokes lays a screen on me. I go flying into the baseline. Chris curls and shoots a layup. And my teammates are like, yo, what are you going to do with that? So finally, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get low. I'm going to fight through the screen. I fight through the screen. I get out there. Now he just gives me a jab step, goes middle, pulls up from the elbow. Damn, what I'm going to do with it? Like, there was no solution, Saul. He was a senior, a lottery pick, and I was a freshman out of high school. He was stronger than me. He had a better jumper than me. He could make me move with a head fake or a jab step. I mean, I was at a complete loss. Now, I didn't know that he had thousands and thousands and thousands of more hours of training than I did. I didn't know. I mean, I knew he was headed to the league, but I'd never been on the court with an NBA player in my life. So that gap to me, the competitive spirit I had, I wanted to close that gap. And by the end of the year on scout team, I was giving Chris buckets. I was blocking his shot every once in a while. I was getting rips on the ball. So what seemed like no measurable improvement was tremendous improvement because I got exposed to an NBA player as an 18-year-old kid. And I was thrown in the Lions den where Coach O didn't give a damn that you guys are freshmen and they're starters. And we won 19 games in a row. We were number 2 in the nation. And if they scored 3 times in a row, we all had to run. So he's training freshmen to get stops against lottery picks. Now, these are days gone by that'll never happen again. But yeah, Chris Mills was the first person I actually wanted to transfer. I was sick. I was done. I was really questioning, dude, are you even good enough to play at this school? Like, it's laughable how easy these guys are scoring on you. You're 185 pounds soaking wet. He's 225. And the only thing I could do, man, I'll never forget, everybody went home. I stayed that summer and I was in the weight room. I was in the weight room like I was in prison, bro. I lifted. I just got my inmate swell on. I came back at like 200. I was on my Shawshank, bro. I'm not even playing with you. I had to. And all the OGs that I played with will tell you, like, you had to get your prison lift on to survive in Arizona because nobody was giving up their minutes. Nobody was giving up their shine. Everybody wanted to get to the league. And if I can score on you 4 times in front of Coach O, that's just what I'm going to do. It was an intense, hellified pressure cooker. And when we finally got to play against other teams, it was like, oh, I'm about to bust their ass because I know what I'm going through in practice. I got Khalid Reeves giving me hell, Damon Stoudemire giving me hell, Chris Mills giving me hell, Ed Stokes, Ray Oates. Dude, we couldn't wait to play against somebody in other jerseys. And 9 times out of 10, your starters aren't as good as the guys we practice against. So when we get out on the court, we're giving the business to your starters as bench players. So that's long story short. Chris Mills, I thought he hated me, and we're the best of friends now. But, man, I thank God that I got my ass kicked as a freshman. I really do.
Wow, that's funny. Was that the summer of like 92, 93?
92. Summer of 93 is when I stayed in Tucson all summer.
So this is a funny story, folks. This is kind of how life comes full circle. The first time I met Corey was at this little small tournament called Sporting Chance. And Sporting Chance was running a like kind of a nonprofit tournament at the time. And that was the first time I met you, Corey. I don't think you know that. I met you at a Sporting Chance tournament because I was volunteering. I was 12 years old, and you were handing out trophies to all the kids that won the tournament. And Steve Kerr was actually there that summer too, putting in work on court 3 of the old Bear Down gym.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And so were you. You were putting in some work when we had like before the tournament or the day would begin and stuff like that. And so that was the first time I saw you. So I can validate that Corey was putting in work that entire summer. So that's pretty dope.
I had to. It's sink or swim. And you know what? I give my father a lot of credit because I called him bitching and complaining, and he said, "Shut up. You chose that damn school, so you're going to finish there. The rest, everybody there's got 2 arms and 2 legs, just like you. Don't call back your bitching, want to transfer. You pick that school, make it happen." And I hated him for that. I hated him. I hated Chris Mills. I hated Coach O. Like, if you bumped into me in 92, 93, you bumped into a real stressed out kid that was like right on the edge. Like, I was really hating a lot of people back then. But I got bigger. I got stronger. I got some great mentors. Damon took me under his wing, talked me out of transferring. It was a great time, though. Those were good days.
But that's the benefit to having senior leadership, right? Is like,
oh yeah, for sure.
They'll tear you down on the court, but they'll build you up off of it and just try to keep your head in it. And eventually, you start to contribute. And these guys are like, "See, that's why you stick the course because you're going to be somebody in this league," and that's pretty dope. That's what I love to hear. And I think Carter Bryant will find his way as well. And listen, this is the thing that I'll keep saying. I'm going to defend Caleb Love until I die. I just will. And maybe I'm the only one some days, but that's okay. I can take it. Caleb Love is the type of dude behind the scenes. Jaden Bradley is the type of dude behind the scenes that will coach up a young player and try to get them get their mind right. Like that's what you need from your leaders. And so when you look at this squad, that's why you can't just throw the white flag after 8 games or 7 games when they're 3-4. You got to stick the course, and you got to, you just got to ride it out. And listen, at the end of the season, if they're 16-15 or something like that, then okay, yeah, it was a terrible year, but it's far too early to just bag on players. But it's not too early to discover what UCLA is going to be all about. But we'll get to that after this break. Folks, I don't know if you could tell, but we got our shine on behind us. We got this beautiful sign right here, the Bear Down sign. Corey's got the U of A logo behind them, and they're both compliments of the fine people over at Saturday Neon. Saturday Neon is the best, and I do mean the best, one of the best neon light companies you could possibly come across. They have all your U of A stuff. They do great work, and they also do custom work if you want to dabble in that for your company or whatever, your man cave or whatever. So Saturday Neon is where it's at. Listen, they come with this really cool remote, and the remote can even dim. It dims the sign and stuff like that. It's pretty dope, right? So check it out. Saturday Neon, started by 2 college friends. Saturday Neon makes officially licensed collegiate logo LED neon signs, perfect for your home, office, dorm room, fan cave, or bar. Check out their new essentials collection, and it's available across the country. PHNX has used Saturday Neon for years already, and you can use Saturday Neon and get a discount using promo code PHNX for just 10% off. So hook yourself up, hook up your room, hook up your man cave, whatever you want to do. Check that out. Also, as you can tell, my guy Corey is wearing some swag, folks, and that swag is Branded Bills swag. Yes, the Santa sweater is from Branded Bills. The hat is from Branded Bills. This hat is from Branded Bills, because that's what we rep. We rep Branded Bills on this show, and it's been fantastic. And I told you all that they had some dope apparel, and Corey is a living proof of that. You got to check that out, because listen, that hat is dope as hell. I love that hat. I should have bought one myself the other day, but I did not, because I am slipping. But I'm not going to be slipping for too much longer, because I'm going to go and buy that by using promo code PHNX and saving myself 20% off on my next order. And you could do the same thing too. So go to brandedbills.com, check out all the fantastic apparel and hat offerings that they have. They breathe well, they wear well, they feel comfortable. They got all the different colors. They rep U of A, they rep ASU, they rep the Suns, and you can get those hats in a variety of different logos and styles to rep your school the best way. So again, use promo code PHNX, save yourself 20% off at brandedbills.com. All right, folks, make sure you leave a like. And if you haven't already subscribed to the show, please subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment, please come into the chat. We see Andy in there, Desert Coyote, appreciate you all. Kivo. Yeah, Kivo. And Mr. AZ is in the wrong chat because he's an ASU fan. We don't want those guys in here. Get out of here. This is a basketball show, and ASU just doesn't know anything about that. So anyway, okay. So we talked about the adjustments that this team made, and what's it looking like for them moving forward, and how we're going to kind of adjust as the season goes on, and the types of things that we're looking for from this squad. The number one thing that I'm going to keep going back to is, there's always chatter. There's always chatter. There's always a little bit of, talking here and talking there. I just mentioned Caleb Love, but Corey, the streets is talking.
Yeah.
The streets is talking, Corey.
I love it.
And we put out there, we asked 3 questions the other day, and the 3 questions were, one of them was, what do you think the Cats' ceiling is? The second one was, what player do you have the most confidence in right now? And the third one is, should KJ come off the bench or not? And this is what everybody had to say. And we'll kind of go down. We're going to go through this. There's like 8 of these responses that we wanted to make sure we gave some people love to. And then we'll kind of recalibrate and give us kind of respond to those as well. So the first one is here, and it's by Pete Williams, former U of A basketball.
This gospel. This is the gospel right here.
Oh, Pete Williams said, I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. I still believe we'll be a team to be reckoned with as we progress through the season. It's easy to see why some have abandoned ship, and we've brought that on ourselves with our play. But I still believe there's fixable parts with this team, and if they put forth better effort and play efficient basketball night in and night out, they can still make a run. Sweet 16 and beyond is not out of the question. Question is, are they all willing to put in the necessary work? Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Preach.
And then the second, in terms of the player he has the most confidence in, he says Jaden Bradley. And then I like KJ coming off the bench. He can be a star in that role and provide a much needed boost there. He's going to get starters minutes regardless. Bryant needs to start and given a leash to play through mistakes. If he finds his comfort level and the game slows down for him, look out. Bear down for your life, y'all. Hey, let's respond to that for a second. I love that. Pete is a legend. Love Pete. He's one of the best dudes you can follow on Facebook. But any response to that, Corey?
Pete kept it real. I'm going to take it and make it even realer, to use a word that I often don't use. Pete said something. I'm just going to go ahead and put it where the goats can get it. He said not to abandon ship, to hold on, that there's good fixable parts, and they can be, and he talked about their potential. On the other side of potential is reality. This year's team has not beaten a decent opponent.
Yes.
The 4 wins they have were layups.
Yes.
Every time they've played someone decent, they've lost. Now, that doesn't mean they're not a good team, but you're at a critical point where you have to believe one thing or the other. Either we're not as good as advertised, or we're just a good team that came up short on 4 occasions, and we have to keep plowing forward because the wins are coming. We're going to come out on top in most of these games. If things don't go our way Saturday, psychologically, Arizona will be in a different place. Maybe some people, I don't say they let go of the rope, but then you'll see the naysayers multiply, the critics will multiply. 5 losses. They'll pick up 2 more before they play TCU, but having not beaten a real opponent might start to mess with the psyche of this team if they don't win on Saturday. So I agree 100% with Pete. The recipe, the ingredients are there. They've got to keep the mentality. Don't talk about it. Go out and win.
Hey, I love that. Don't talk about it. Be about it. When I was in high school, Coach Jay, may he rest in peace. Coach Jay used to say that. He also used to say somebody couldn't cut the mustard, let alone lick the jar, which is just a random ass saying that I don't even understand. All right, next one. Let's go. All right. This one says, all right, UCLA ceiling is national champions and winning every tournament game by 50. Okay. I trust Love the most. His jumper and 3-point effectiveness is beyond anything we've seen in decades. KJ should be a starter and come off the bench and coach. Bench and coach and deliver nachos and soda. He should also assist in directing traffic out of the parking garages after every game. Basically, he loves KJ and thinks KJ should do it all and can do it all. I appreciate that. You might be one of the only people that has trust in Love because of his effectiveness shooting, because the number one complaint about Caleb is his inconsistency shooting, which is very well. Next one. Let's go to the next one. All right. This one is by Daniel Thomas. Sweet 16, possibly Elite 8. They have 0 bad losses. I agree with that. He trusts Bradley and Townsend the most, and KJ would benefit coming off the bench just for the fact that he can see how the refs are calling the game. He starts too aggressive, in my opinion, and picks up early fouls. I love that point, Daniel Thomas. That's a great point in terms of KJ just kind of maybe feeling his way into the game without actually being out there, and then causing him to just be a little bit more calculated in his approach because of how the refs might be officiating the game, which I love. That's a great point. I hadn't seen that across many other comments.
No, it's a good point. If you're gonna reserve him and keep him from picking up early fouls as a strategy, that I understand. Is he a more effective contributor than Carter Bryant? Probably. So if you're not starting him to keep him and ultimately make the team better, I understand that. But to say he's not the best choice to start a game, and we're going to find out because Carter Bryant, in the Duke game, The Wisconsin game, that water was a little too deep for him. He got some minutes in the Duke game. So getting wet against good competition will make him better. But if it's nip and tuck and every possession is going to count on Saturday, I'm telling you that right now. How long do you go with a player who may not be at the level of KJ? When you know you've got KJ, that's like, ace in the hole. That's great. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how it pans out.
Next one, Kev.
I just wanted to pop in here real quick to talk about this KJ point. I love the point that he brought up about kind of KJ being on the field his way into the game, like you said, Saul. I think another reason why there's some credence to that point is we know KJ is somewhat of a multi-tool, right? So if you can see what you need from KJ in that game, I think maybe it gives him more of a focused role within the game, as opposed to, I think at times on offense, at least I see, in my opinion, maybe he tries to do a little bit too much, but that's just my opinion. And so, yeah, I like that comment there as well.
Okay. All right. Hey, that's not God, folks. That was the wizard, Kevin Thomas, behind the fucking curtain.
Yeah.
There that is. I don't know. Listen, Kev, we might have to make a rule, man. If you ain't got your camera on, you might just have to stay, pipe down, little fella.
No. This is what we do. We keep it the way it is. We keep it the way it is. We put some effects on Kevin's voice so he comes in like the Wizard of Oz, the mighty, powerful wizard, and he just drops knowledge bombs and then disappears. And then Saul, you and I can have some green smoke that we throw up at the computer when the wizard drops in. Yeah, man, it'd be nice.
The Wizard of McKale, as he's been named by Grayson Vanderland in the chat. All right, what's the next one, Kev? All right, Yui Morley. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I always think Arizona's ceiling is higher than they go. Might be my fault for always thinking we should win it all. LOL. KJ coming off the bench seems to work for him, so let's play a good team and see if that will help. The only one trustworthy is probably Bradley or the Ball Boys.
Facts.
I think the bigs need to play more. Mo and Henry. I also think Love needs to drive the ball more and not shoot threes, just to get his points in. All right. Yeah, I mean, that's been the number one complaint about Caleb Love is like when the shot's not going, what else is he doing? People want him to drive. But, listen, this is one of the few ones that don't believe KJ should be coming off the bench. And, I mean, you can go either way with this argument. And I think, listen, if he doesn't start on Saturday, which I don't think he will, I think he will come off the bench. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Right. I mean, every player has a role, and you're right. I was a bench player at Arizona for most of my career. So you observe what Coach O's mad about, then you go in and fix that. That's what your job is. You sit there and you actually can hear the coaches complaining about what's going on. Okay, I got to go in. I got to get some points. I got to go in and get a rebound. I got to go in and box out. I got to do something. But you do have the blueprint to the game when you're checking in at the 14-minute mark. So there is some truth to that. The other thing is, okay, it's Arizona versus UCLA. And in the back of my mind, I'm going to be sitting on my couch like, Jaden Bradley and who? Like, who finna show up with Jaden? Because I already know he gonna show up. And it's unfortunate that 7 games in, that's the only player I feel that way about. And most of my friends feel the same way. We know Jaden is gonna show up. The question is Jaden Bradley and who? Mm-hmm. And that's a question that we got to answer in the next 3 games because we can't go into TCU in Tucson, in McKale Center, Big 12 opener, wondering who else is going to show up with Jaden. We can't be like that far into the season. We'll be 10 games in by that point. So,
yeah, actually 11 games because they're 4-4 right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I agree. You got to figure it out right now before it gets too late. Otherwise, we could get ugly. Next one. All right, Daniel Derner. We'll finish 7th or 8th in the conference, sneak into the NCAA tournament as 8 or 9 seed and lose in the first round. We'll have some good moments, but just never really find our groove. KJ is better off the bench. I don't trust anyone yet. Maybe Martinez. Listen, Conrad Martinez. Corey, I would love to hear your opinion on Conrad because to me, Conrad, I feel, should get a little bit more burn than he does. I think Conrad is a tremendous facilitator. The only knock on Conrad is obviously the height, but also we have not seen him shoot very much. I think he's a good shooter, but it just hasn't bared out that way because he hasn't really had too many opportunities. I think when the rubber meets the road, he's not a bad second option to go to off the bench to help supplant Jaden Bradley. He's not the level of defender that Jaden Bradley is. I know he's not. But in terms of creativity, in terms of facilitation, in terms of running a damn fast break the right way, that's all I want. That's all I want. And I like Conrad. I think he deserves a few more minutes here and there.
7-1 Arizona, you play Conrad Martinez. 6-2 Arizona, you play Conrad Martinez. 4-4, we don't know what the hell we got. It's hard to find minutes for him. Who's he going to guard Saturday? You've seen UCLA's team.
Mm-hmm.
Who's he going to guard? So you got to keep it 100. Like when we go in the Big 12, who is he going to guard? Now, I'll tell you this, as a guy who got left open and knocked down threes, sometimes you're open because they want you open. And he's a good shooter. Conrad's good shooter. He doesn't turn it over. I think his size and defensively, if we're in the kind of game where you can find minutes for him, then by all means, he brings a lot of positive things to the table. I don't think he makes a lot of mistakes. He does play mistake-free basketball. And the ease at which he knocks down some triples, I'm like, damn, we need more of that. Off a big man touch, kick out to him. A penetration, kick out to him. If they can set him up, Conrad Martinez can definitely be a great weapon for Arizona. But, man, where we are right now as a team, you're rolling the dice because you got to put your strongest defensive unit out there Saturday at all times. There can't be weak links, especially against a Mick Cronin team defensively. They muddy up the game so much and make it so difficult. But I know he'll play Saturday. I'm hoping he plays well. I'm hoping they find opportunities and create shots for him. He's a solid player. I think he's a little bit underestimated. But, man, it's about matchups for him, and that's unfortunate because he is a solid player, very solid player.
Yeah. I hear you. I could see him developing into just kind of an undeniable, player in his junior and senior years. I could see that. That seasoned vet that's been riding the bench his whole career now finally gets the opportunity to maybe start because he's just gotten that, he's just developed that much. Like I could see that right now. I hear where you're coming from. I just think that in terms of consistency, hey, listen, this team has been wildly inconsistent from time to time. And Jaden Bradley, like you said, is the only one that you feel like you could trust from time to time. I wouldn't mind seeing it.
No disrespect, but I'm going to go not super athletic guys in the former Pac-12. Everybody remembers TJ McConnell.
Mm-hmm.
Rock solid, tough as nails. You couldn't pull a piece of paper under him when he jumped. You couldn't. He wasn't an athlete, right? Everybody remembers Peyton Pritchard at Oregon, all the success he had. He wasn't dunking and flying by and crossing dudes up, but man, is he in the NBA right now? Yeah, I think so. Making a ton of money. Conrad
and Duncan
Martinez,
too.
Huh?
And Duncan.
Yeah.
He dunked the other night.
Exactly. So you've got guys, there's a blueprint out there for a guard like that to have success. In time, Conrad Martinez can be like that. He's got a great shot. He's a pure point guard. He can shoot. But man, it's going to be difficult in certain situations because, like I said, his size and his ability to defend, guys getting downhill cause problems for you defensively. So if he can stay in front of his man, I say, hey, let him play as much as you can use him because Arizona is going to need depth. No question about it.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, next one, Kev. All right, John Gibson, short and sweet, making the Sweet 16, finishing third in the conference. He loves Jaden Bradley, and I like seeing Carter in the starting lineup, and Lewis played great coming off the bench. Next one, Kev. I love that, John. Next one, Kev. Hector Godoy. We're just going to breeze through the last ones. Sweet 16, Jaden Bradley, KJ, and Love come off the bench. All right, next one.
Put Love on the bench.
In the last one, Anthony Humbert. Arizona's ceiling is a national championship. This is Arizona. That is always the ceiling, especially with the parity that exists and the talent on the perimeter. Parity spelled wrong, by the way. Parity. That would be making fun of a situation. 2, Jaden Bradley is the most trusted. He's the most consistent player on both ends and needs to be as the point guard. And finally, Coach Olson always said, it doesn't matter who starts, it matters who finishes. So I don't think it matters if KJ comes off the bench, but he is one of the guys I want in during a close game with 5 minutes left. And I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with it. And I know Corey agrees with that as well. You want your 5 best players on the court in the last stretch of the game. This is not a situation where if KJ's balling and KJ's playing at the level that we all know he could play, he's just sitting on the bench because he didn't start. That's just ridiculous. And that's an argument that I always like to get into with people, because people were like, oh, well, he's not starting. I can't believe this. Like, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, and we got to disqualify that last comment because he cheated. He put the God in there. Like, when you quote the God, like, he put me in this house, he put me in my car. Like, I'm not gonna go against the God. You go quote Lute, is like conversation. So no Lute quotes in the streets. You're not slick. You can't quote Lute and then come off like you're dropping knowledge. That's not fair. All right, keep it real.
Before we get into UCLA, we do have a lot of other things that we want to get to. But first, before we go anywhere, you have to go to Circle K, because Circle K is where it's at. Circle K is one of the best convenience shops out there in the market, and it's everywhere. It feels like it's on every corner. It's like Circle K and McDonald's. That are two places you could always drive about 3 or 4 blocks and see another one of, and that's why they're so awesome. They're convenient. They hook you up with a whole bunch of stuff, and if you join their Inner Circle app, they're gonna hook you up with gas discounts. They're gonna hook you up with beverages at discounted rates. You get 5 free beverages just for signing up on the Inner Circle app. You get 25 cents off a gallon the first 5 times you fill up just by downloading the Inner Circle app. You know how much the Inner Circle app costs? Nothing. It's free. They're giving it all to you. So take advantage, man. Take advantage. All right. And so Circle K, again, go to circlek.com and check out all the fantastic things that they have to offer. They will send you deals. They will text you deals. And they also do fuel days, which is massive discounts on top of your already existing Inner Circle discount. Again, Circle K is where it's at. So go to circlek.com. Terms and conditions do apply. See show notes for details. And also our folks over at Gila River, we just had a cool event last week. Archie Bradley and the crew doing a PHNX live event with the D-back squad. It was highly attended, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of answers. He took photos with everybody, signed autographs, answered some really cool questions, and he answered some things that he would never, ever, ever say on a podcast or on a live show or on tape. So again, these are interesting things that you have to be in attendance for if you want to take advantage. We had 3 former Arizona Cardinals legends at one of our watch parties as well over at Gila River. So again, Gila River is where it's at. You got to come out. Not only do we have great events there, but they also have a great facility. They have all the gaming you could possibly imagine. They have a resort, they have pools, they have spas, they have a golf course. What's not to love, folks? And it's right here, right on the outside. For you, it's the first thing you're going to see as you head into Phoenix. For us, it's the last thing we see on the way out, but it's a beautiful resort, and the people there are top notch. They will take care of you. So go to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. So you do you at GilaRiver.com. Check them out and enjoy. All right, UCLA. Corey, the first thing I'm going to say about UCLA is I hate watching them play basketball. I feel like this is like 5 dudes. It doesn't even matter who's in. They're all interchangeable to me. These are just 5 dudes that are just so herky-jerky and just awkward. And somehow, some way, Mick Cronin has gotten that team to ball out and only lose 1 game this season. Now, they haven't really played anybody. That's just facts. And they just beat Oregon. That was their best win so far. And they beat them in Oregon on folks, I'm telling you, go back and watch that buzzer beat, or not the buzzer beater. It was like 0.4 of a second left, but go back and watch that last second shot and tell me that it's not ugly. Like, my guy, when he released the ball, he had the claw and the ball didn't even spin, hit the backboard and went. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Now, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, UCLA.
Saul.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Sometimes styles just don't match eyes. And I just do not like watching them play, but they've always been, they can always tee up.
I'm going to put it to you like this. They beat Joe Lewis's ass.
Yeah, they did.
That's all.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, how do you go to number 12 Oregon on the road and even be in a position to bank in a 3?
True.
I watched the whole game. I watched players from Oregon get put on lock. I watched frustration set in. I watch on-ball steals. When's the last time somebody got ripped ball handling? Kids don't even do that no more.
No.
So to your point, you're 1,000% right. That's what makes them so damn good.
Yeah.
Oh, dribble handoff. Okay, so you got another guy switched on you that looked just like the last guy. Lanky as hell, good footwork, reaching, grabbing, keeping you out of the lane. Oh, you swing it? There's another guy up top doing the same thing. Oh, you do a staggered? They switch it out on the screen. They're all bookends. You're 1,000% right. And they buy in to Mick Cronin and his coaching. I can see why a lot of people, it's not great basketball to watch, but it's the kind of basketball that makes it a slugfest for UCLA. And that's the way they want to play.
I mean, they have to listen to Cronin or they get the hose again. So it's just what it is. You can't tell me that Mick doesn't rule that team with an iron fist because he does. But it is effective. And defensively speaking, Mick Cronin's teams have alwa's balled out defensively. They've always been tough. They've always been physical. And that's a Mick Cronin-led team.
I've done a bunch of UCLA games since Cronin's been the coach, and I can tell you why it works. People think he's a hard guy. He's tough on his players. It's actually the opposite. Mick probably cares more than you do when he's coaching you. So the intensity when he's yelling at the guys, that's from the heart. He's mad that you didn't rotate over and make that block. He's mad that you didn't make the extra pass because he wants that out of you. So the intensity when guys are like, damn, what's up with coach? Coach is on one. It's like, yeah, welcome to UCLA, freshman. He's like that all the time. And if you can keep him quiet, that means we're kicking somebody's ass. Now that's a twist on most coaching approaches. Like, I'm going to be the animated one. I'm going to demand the best on every play for all 40 minutes, no seconds off. Most guys can't play for a guy like Mick Cronin. And the kids that can are the kids you got to be worried about because they don't give a damn. They're going to play hard.
I hear you, Corey. I do. I'm going to humbly disagree to a certain extent. Now, you're there on the sidelines, so I will give you credit for that because obviously you hear things differently than I do. I got you. I will say this. Mick Cronin, to me, maybe I have PTSD. Maybe I was hurt back in
Who
college.
Who hurt you, Saul? Who hurt you?
Listen, man, I'm not going to say his name.
You're military, so I can understand your aversion to his approach.
Well, no. Like, this is the difference, right? So before I got to the military, I had to play for a coach. We'll just call him Eminem because those are his initials, right? And he was Mick Cronin stature and just yelled all the time, right? But there's a difference. If you yell, but you're informative and you're still teaching as you're screaming and yelling,
right,
and you're explaining, I could deal with that. You could yell at me 24/7 all day, every day. And to that point, I will agree with you on that. But there's others. And again, not every player, as you said, can listen. Some people listen to the tone, but they don't listen to the message, right? That's all they hear. And that's what I had to deal with, right? It was just all I would shoot a jumper and my coach in high school would be like, hey, you need to get your legs into it more. Whereas this guy would be like, you need to make that MFN shot. Well, no, coach. What, you think I'm out here trying to miss? Like, right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
yeah, I see exactly what you're saying.
There's a little bit of a difference there, but to your point, Mick Cronin, he tries to get the most out of his team. Sometimes he succeeds, but sometimes he doesn't.
I've been at his shoot-arounds, I've been at his practices, and I've been 10 feet away from him while he's coaching. Saul, the man says the same thing 24 hours a day. He does not switch up. The only time I've seen Mick Cronin quiet is when Tiger Campbell and Jaime Jaquez were wrecking the Pac-12. He had no worries then. He'd sit there with his arms crossed because he had a point guard who knew what to do. So he didn't have to yell. And if the point guard hooked you up and you blew the play, Collins or Campbell would get in your ass. Jaime Jaquez, tremendous leader for that team. So he didn't have to be so vocal with those two experienced guys. Then I watched last year's team. I think last year's team was a team that went to Utah and got kicked by 50. Was that like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw
a rough year last year.
Saying the same stuff he was saying the year before to a group of kids that weren't up to the task. So he's always right about what he's saying, but to your point, as a third party observing it, yeah, not a lot of people want to sign up for the Mick Cronin seminar. It's a rough one.
Yeah,
It is.
It
It's
is.
a
It is.
rough one.
You know? He went at my boy Justin Spears. Maybe that's why I'm a little bitter at Mick Cronin too, because he went. At my boy
They had a little dust up.
Reason, man. Like, leave my boy Justin alone. Like, Justin, it was the first time Justin had ever met Mick Cronin, and Mick Cronin thought he was somebody else, and like went at him. And Justin was like,
mistaken identity, caught a stray.
Like, bro, like, I don't know who you're talking to, but I ain't that dude. Like, I just ain't, And Justin, we all know Justin. He's like the friendliest guy you could ever meet. So,
tell whatever. Justin I'll smooth that out when I see Mick. I'll take care of that. Me and Mick like that. So I'll drop Justin's name and get him a fruit basket or something.
Get it on video. We'll play it, and then I'll apologize to Mick Cronin. How about that?
Yeah. I don't know that I get Mick to apologize, but I'll get him to address it. That's about Mick's the East Coast guy. All he gonna do is address it. He ain't gonna apologize.
It's true. That's funny. Folks, before we move on to the next segment, I know there's a lot of stuff going on at gophnx.com. You should check it out. Chicken and Pickle this weekend. If you want to play some pickleball, sign up 8:30 to 1 o'clock. Listen, you can play a couple hours of pickleball, get eliminated, and then roll down the street to the game because it's right down the highway at the Footprint Center, U of A and UCLA. So check it out. We're all the way on the west side this weekend on Saturday. It'll be a fun time. I'll be at the game because, ball is life. But if you want pickleball to be your life, go check that game out and check out the tournament out there. Chicken and Pickle. Chicken and Pickle is a fantastic facility, by the way. If you haven't gone out there, you should. So it's a whole day of fun for you and the family. All right. Okay, so Coach O. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We need to go back. UCLA starting lineups. Ball up top, Kev. Ball up top.
Look at lineups, baby.
All right. So we got Jaden Bradley. This is if KJ doesn't start, and we don't know. It hasn't been confirmed whether or not he will, but let's just go off of last game. Jaden Bradley, Carter Bryant, Caleb Love, Trey Townsend, Toby Owaka. The matchups here, obviously, you have Sky Clark, who's their point guard for lack of a better word. And then you have Dylan Andrews and Kobe Johnson, and then Tyler Bilodeau, and then Eric Daly. To me, one of the more difficult matchups because of versatility and skill set would be Daly. Because Daly, he could stretch it out. He could step back and he could hit the three. He's got a decent post game. He's physical all the way around. Obviously, that's just kind of where I would go. He also led them in scoring against Oregon the other night. Their guards are good. They're not world beaters, but they'll get after it. Their whole team is defensively sound. It's just, can they make enough shots to beat you? And if you D up, you can make that a real living hell for them. But there's just not. There hasn't. Go ahead.
Can you put that back up? Because Saul's over here tap dancing. Okay, Saul. Which matchups does Arizona win of those 5?
I mean,
are you taking Bradley over Clark at the point guard spot? Because I am. I'm taking that one.
Yes, I'm taking that one.
Dylan Andrews, the only bright spot for UCLA last year. Now he's got a crew. He's like Bishop and Juice. He got a crew with him now. Is he going to outplay Caleb Love on Saturday?
I'm going to say no.
Because the Caleb Love you've seen has been so phenomenal?
No, but I have faith in Caleb.
Okay, so now we're talking about faith. Saul's in the faith business. Can you put it back up? We're going to keep going. Carter Bryant versus Johnson. Kobe Johnson is a monster.
Yeah, he is.
So that's Kobe Johnson all day.
Yeah.
Trey Townsend and Bilodeau, the height advantage and the size advantage.
I'm taking Trey Townsend all day.
Based on what?
Trey is a baller, dude. He's a baller. Bilodeau's okay, but Trey will get you buckets too. Don't sleep on Trey like that.
I am going to be in your inbox all game.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. I love it, but isn't Bilodeau 6'9", 230?
And
he's 6'9". Trey is 6'5", 220 something. He's my size.
But Trey, listen, man, you know this.
I don't even think Trey's going to guard him, to be honest. I think Trey is going to go on the nightmare. We haven't even discussed the nightmare in this whole lineup thing, which is Eric Daly Jr. That's the nightmare. That's the 6'9" kid that can shoot, dribble, go to the rack, block shots, dunk on you. Like, it's problems Saturday, Saul. Real. Arizona going to have to dig deep to fight, because this might be a game in the 60s, because you're right. UCLA don't have a bunch of bucket getters, but what they do have is a bunch of kids who just don't stop coming because they're scared of their coach, and they actually like playing that way. They love playing that way. Yeah. So it's going to be bully ball. So when I look at that, I think Arizona's got the advantage in maybe three of those, actually 2.5. And that's just me being honest.
This is where I would say where the difference could be, right? When we go to the bench and KJ comes off the bench, I don't listen. As much as I would love to have faith in Krivas and Henry, I don't know if that's going to happen on Saturday, because I think physicality always trumps them. Like, listen, Krivas got the ball down low on the post against Southern Utah, and even then looked like he was off balance. He looked like he was like not sure of himself or physical enough. I'm like, bro, you are clearly better than this guy. Just turn around and go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the hesitancy is just there. Like, there's just a little bit of unsureness coming out of that. So I think when you get to the bench, you're looking at the bench, you got Lazar Stefanovic, who could shoot from the three. He's probably their most pure shooter on the roster. Sebastian Mack, who gave us buckets last year at McKale, but he's been inconsistent as well.
Yeah.
So we don't really have to, I'm not going to say we're not going to worry about him, but he was the only one doing anything last year as a freshman against Arizona. So
single digit games, all 3 games last year. We took 2, one in Pac-12 tournament and one in McKale. We lost up there by 8 or 9. I'm going to put it like this. They're way better than they were last year.
Way better
than they were. They got their NIL bag together and they went out and bought juniors and seniors that can hoop. Are we way better than we were last year?
No.
All right. Now that's why I'm saying we can win the game. Oh, don't get me wrong. Arizona's good enough to win, but it's going to be all hands on deck and they cannot get pushed around. UCLA will try. And I'm going to tell you this. We'll know everything we need to know from the first 4 minutes, because I'm watching the ref crew to see the whistle. What kind of whistle? Is it going to be a tight whistle, or are they going to let them play? If it's a tight whistle, that benefits us.
Yeah.
If they let them play, oh, Lord. Lord have mercy, Jesus. Because they let them play up at Oregon. They let them play. Oregon was crying for calls in their own home gym. And that's not Dana Altman's teams. They don't do that. He's the king of this JUCO piracy transfer portal guy. He's been doing it for 10 years. Everybody else just caught up to what Dana Altman's been doing the last 2 or 3 years. So he's always been getting into JUCO and the portal and getting guys and making it work. But I don't want to come off like a naysayer, because I love my squad. I think we can get it done. I just want to see them meet that intensity. I don't want to see them beating us to loose balls. I don't want to see them getting putbacks and offensive rebounds. I definitely don't want to see people clapping in Caleb Love's face and him just walking away. I don't want to see none of that, Saul. This UCLA, I hate these dudes. We have to win this game. We have to win it.
I detest UCLA. Happy the rivalry is here. I am happy they're going to continue this. I love that. But I hate UCLA. In basketball, I hate UCLA more than anybody else outside of maybe Duke. Like, that's it. Like, ASU is irrelevant to me when it comes to hoops. Like, they might get their one every now and then. I don't really care about that.
They're 75-foot shot at the buzzer.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you can have the Hail Mary if you want to, but we're talking real ball right now. In UCLA.
They got a squad again. They got a decent squad this year.
Hey, ASU's got a very decent squad this year. I am not taking that away.
ACU, I ain't gonna say his name. It's like Candyman, because he might do something against us. They got a kid up there that if people go look him up, the boy is cold. I don't know where Bobby found him from. Cold buckets.
He came from some small school, some random. Yeah,
Bobby said, no. And Hurley doesn't give out. Not to get off on a tangent. He said he's the best shooter he ever coached. That's what he said. And he's had guys that can shoot the rock. But anyway,
I know.
So yeah, when
that entire Buffalo team that took out U of A in the first round was his team.
That was his team.
He wasn't coaching them, but that was his team.
All the guys he put together. So it's going to be a great season. I, for one, look forward to this UCLA game. I'm not going to take too much from it, but it feels, and tell me how you feel, it feels like a must win for us. We have to. We can't get popped in Phoenix by UCLA. We just can't.
1,000,000%.
Can't happen.
1,000,000%. I would say it's a must win in my opinion. Like you have to be like, listen, you win this game, you're on a 4-game winning streak, hopefully going into TCU, your first Big 12 conference opponent at home. You can get off on the right foot. And listen, you win 4 games and then you win that one. That's 5 games in a row. All of a sudden you're looking at 8-4 record. And now let's go. Now you got to play the big dogs in the conference.
And you know who the coach is at TCU. So here's the thing. I'm going to tell people out there listening right now. UCLA and TCU, it's the same game.
Identical.
So whatever happens Saturday, you got to fix because it's coming right back at you on December 30th. So there it is.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Our last segment is a kind of one I've been looking forward to doing all day, to be honest with you. So I stumbled across this video on Twitter, and it's the fundamentals of basketball by the one, the only Lute. Take a look at this little snippet, and then we're going to talk about it after that.
Okay, bring the ball back out again now. And now let's have you play him directly behind. Okay, so you're going to jump to the ball. You're going to catch the ball in a 1-count catch. We're going to pivot to the middle. And if he's there, you show it and you drive. If he's not there, shoot the ball. You're turning with the intention of shooting. But you turn and he won't let you shoot, now you drive. So whatever he gives you, let's take. Okay, defense behind, catch, turn, move, okay, back up again. That's good. Here we go. Defense behind, turn, shot, rebound, okay. Work on our defense at the same time. Here we go. Turn, good. Move to the basket, okay? Okay, so on your play then, low side, we use the middle. High side, over here, we use the baseline move. If we don't know where he is, we turn and locate him, and at that point then we're going to make either the shot or we're going to drive the ball to the basket if he crowds us.
Listen, I'm sure that was a throwback for you. Not a lot of us have ever seen Coach O, schooling guys up and teaching the fundamentals. The thing I love about that the most is that is truly breaking down the fundamentals of the game. And there was this long discussion between KG and Paul Pierce when they were talking. I think it was like yesterday actually, and they were talking about coaches don't coach the fundamentals anymore because these guys just straight go from one AAU tournament to the next, and then they find their way over to college, and it's all chuck and duck, 3 and run. So when you come back and you learn the fundamentals and realize like you can add more to your bag because of your skill sets, like what Coach O is trying to teach post players, like that's just beautiful, man. I just really wanted to bring that back,
No question. Player development is a beautiful thing, and it's why most coaches get into coaching in the first place. They want to take a kid from point A to point B.
It's my favorite part of coaching.
That process has been disrupted, and it's no longer valued. All the values put on winning. So now you get coaches who just grab a kid where he is and try to win with him. And there's the second part of that. The other side of that coin is, unfortunately, I'm going to sound old here, but the younger generations aren't conducive to coaching. They're emotionally in a place where any criticism of their game or any correction or any type of education, they can't stomach it. There's a bad reaction to it. You mix in NIL and the transfer portal, you can't really coach a kid hard to his benefit. It doesn't feel like it's to your benefit, but I'm sitting there watching a video of a man who I love give a guy jewels that are going to give him generational wealth in the NBA. If you just sit back and listen to this man and do what he tells you to do over and over and over again, the NBA scouts are going to come and you're going to be a millionaire if you can absorb what he's teaching. That, whether it's Coach K, Coach O, all the OG coaches from 25, 30 years ago, they've all gotten out of the game. They've all retired, and God bless them all. But that's been the change in coaching, the ability to teach the fundamentals, the desire for kids to want to soak up the fundamentals and reap the benefits of being fundamentally sound. I mean, Tim Duncan was not flashy, but he's probably the greatest power forward in NBA history.
Yeah.
Take what you want from it, but that's just what it is.
For sure. If you want to watch the rest of this show and you're streaming it, then make sure you go over to gophnx.com to continue on. If you're here on YouTube, just stay. All right. No, I totally agree. To me, like I I savor and love the fundamentals of basketball, and I always go back to the fast break and how the art of it is the fast break in itself. There is a fundamental art to it, and you don't see that anymore, because what happens is either guys are flaring out to go get a 3-point shot, or if they are running and they have the intent of trying to get to the basket, there is no spacing. Like, guys just don't even know how to space on the floor when they're running a fast break. And to me, it's just the simple drill of that 3-on-2, 2-on-1, hops, hop stop, pass, triple threat kind of things. And people think that it looks corny or it looks too robotic, but there's an artistry to it that if you do it enough, you can make it just look seamless. One of the things that people don't talk about with Michael Jordan, they see all the highlights, they see all the athleticism, they see all that stuff. But Dean Smith will tell you one of the most fundamentally sound players he's ever coached, if not the greatest fundamental player he's ever coached, is Michael Jordan. All the technique, all the moves, the first, the second, the third, the fourth go-to move to try and get you off balance. You were just talking about, Chris Mills and how he can move you without moving himself, just with the ball. Like, there's a skill set to that. With that being said, Corey, I wanted your 2 cents and on a video of me in high school, and you tell me if my fundamentals are out of whack or not.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, I shot the air ball, so that's cool. I get it back. Oh yeah, let's go. I'm getting 3 free throws. Let's go.
And then you talk some trash. You are 1 for 2 touching the rim, but you got the nerve to talk trash. 50%, not on makes, on iron touches, and you barking when you get up. I want you on my team. Yo, who's that kid? Get me that kid. On some Adrian Dantley type stuff. I need a thug. I need an enforcer. That kid's tough. I love that. That was great footage.
Oh man, yeah, that's funny. Shout out to Javon Perrin back in the day, man. He was one of the best ball handlers
stuff.
I've ever come across. That's why we were talking, because I finally got him. So, but yeah, I mean, the fundamentals are where it's at, and I hope there's a shift back in the other direction in the game at some point where people take that a little bit more seriously and coach it up.
It's what I always say, man. Repetition removes doubt. That's just the reality of it. If you do something over and over, when the game rolls around, you ain't got to worry about nothing because you're good. It takes a lot of repetition to get there, to get that way. Former Wildcat, Joe McClain, shout out Joe, doing big things in the Bay, representing sports agent, financial wizard extraordinaire. I see him on TV all the time, but Joe was courtside at a Mavericks game, and Klay Thompson was just warming up. Now, when I say he's courtside, I mean Joe's feet are on the damn court. Mm-hmm. And Klay's just coming out warming up, and he's drilling shot after shot after shot. And all I can remember, and I text Joe, I said, yeah, I still would take you on the skip pass against the zone before I take Klay. And we laughed about it. But the repetition that it takes to get to that level, and I don't mean the Klay Thompson level because that's rare, great shooting, but just at the collegiate level, it's like a contract. I want to get better. And then the coach steps in and says, well, I can make you better. And the two of you have a deal. And that deal involves trust, that every negative thing he says to you, every painful thing he does to your body is within the confines of that contract that you both entered into because you believe he's going to make you better. You literally have to trust and give yourself to a coach to allow the repetition to occur and then to benefit from it as a successful collegiate player or possibly a pro. That's where things are broken down. The fundamentals require repetition. Repetition requires time. Time requires a commitment. And in this wild, wild West NIL arena, Saul, who's committing to who? Who's committing to anything? So you may have
everybody's committing to the dollar is what they're doing.
Yeah. So the whole genetic DNA structure of basketball is fractured right now because the formula hasn't changed. You need time, you need trust, you need relationships, you need fundamentals, you need development. And in this here today, gone next year type situation, transfer portal situation, you get a guy who's a question mark for a few months until he settles in. Or if they're your 7th or 8th man, you got to re-recruit them every year because they're looking to transfer. So, yeah, it's hard to establish fundamentals and get good, solid play. And to start the show, we're talking about, who do you trust at Arizona? What's the vibe after 7 games? Like, where are we as a team? It didn't take 7 games ago, 15, 20 years ago. It didn't take 7 games to figure out what kind of team you had. But every coach in the country is still where Arizona is in terms of figuring out what they have.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to be a coach in college basketball today. I don't know if, when you were growing up, that was like, man, if I could be a college basketball coach, man, that's the dream. Like being able to recruit. But when you recruit these guys, you're only recruiting 2 or 3 guys at a time, trying to get them on your roster. And it'd be great. Nowadays, even a high school basketball coach, no, thank you. With all these parents that think that they know better than you, like they haven't been to any clinics, they don't see what's going on behind the scenes, they don't know what coaches are looking for, they don't understand the fundamentals themselves. They just, oh, you took my kid out. Like, man, shut the hell up. Like that, it's so exhausting, and it's been an evolution for like 40 years now. We definitely sound like old men right now. It's been an evolution for like 40 years in the making, because I saw even, the Sporting Chance tournament. It was a nonprofit tournament, Corey, and I still have people in the stands screaming at refs and coaches on an 8th grade game, or an 8-year-old game. 8-year-olds, like,
right.
Take a deep breath, man. It's not that serious. And then the last thing too, you talk about coaching up, I came across a video. Gary V put this out, and he said he was at a basketball game the other day, and a 6-year-old kid, right, lost the game, and he was upset. He was upset because he was competitive. He wanted to win the game. He's 6 years old, whatever. And his mom came up to him and said, "It doesn't matter. It's okay. It's all good. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you win or lose." And Gary's point was, you're teaching that alpha kid to be complacent. And that's one of the worst things you can do as you grow up in life and not really care about the outcomes of things. And because it does matter, competitiveness does matter in certain respects. And when you're playing games and everybody gets the same ribbon, no matter if you finish in first or in last, that's not good. And when we're talking about the fundamentals and the small things that can take you from A to Z and separate you from everybody else, and you're telling me that they don't matter, you've watered down everything across the board, and basically it becomes athletic competition to a certain degree. And I prefer, the beauty of basketball is the beauty of teamwork and it being able to really accentuate the athleticism of certain individuals, as opposed to watering everything down and making everything a 3-point contest, essentially.
Well, I would disagree with those sentiments that he stated. I think if I had a 6-year-old son, nephew, great nephew, I'm not going to let him stay too long in being upset about a game at 6
And I agree with that. I'm
going to let him be upset that he lost. But the problem that I run into with kids is, in this current environment, you are how you play. That's how your coach treats you. That's how the scouts treat you. And God forbid, that's how sometimes the parents treat them. That is a horrible environment for a child to be in. You are not how you play. You may have gone out and hit the game-winning soccer goal. You may have struck out. You may have ran for the winning touchdown. You still gonna come in this house, do these dishes, and clean your room. That's how I was raised. That was the most important team I was a part of, was my family. So sports was like, yeah, Corey's good at sports. My dad didn't even know I played basketball until I was like in 7th grade. He heard about my games from somebody at work, and he was like, "I heard y'all are undefeated." I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty good." He's like, "Oh," and did you do your homework? And it was back to that. He didn't really care about sports. He was an education guy. So I get what you're saying. Sports is ultimately a meritocracy. The best players should win out. Competition is good for everyone, but the psyche of the kid needs to be guided and shaped a little bit better to where they want to be competitive, and they will go hard, and they want to learn, and they want to be coached. But at the same time, you are not a commodity. And we've reduced the kids to commodities, and we're paying the price for it. I had an interesting conversation with somebody a couple of days ago, and they were talking about the drop in ratings in the NBA. And one of the things I told them, I said, this is the beginning of the AAU culture in the NBA, because the AAU culture misses on thousands of kids who just simply can't afford to pay to be a part of the system. We're not necessarily seeing the best players in the country. We're seeing the players that were able to go through the system and be ESPN top 100, whatever, do a year or two in college and get drafted. And then guys like you and me who want to see good, clean, high-level basketball, we turn the channel because that's not what it is.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see, not that these guys don't deserve their spots in the NBA, but these are the products of the AAU machine, which you and I know, and KG and Paul Pierce were discussing, is completely devoid of fundamentals.
Yeah.
That's the older basketball fan remembers a different type of game, and there's nothing we can ever do to get that game back, but we have to re-empower the coaches, because I can tell you like this, leverage is a good thing. Now, can leverage be abused? Absolutely. I think Bobby Knight abused his leverage. I think there's footage of a lot of coaches taking things too far because it's my way or the highway. If you want to get to the dream of the NBA, it goes through me. So yeah, leverage can be abused, but that's few and far between. Most of the coaches that get in this want the development of their players. They want to see these guys after they've graduated with their family, with their kids playing pro. They get so much pride out of what they created. And I'm speaking as a Wildcat. It would fill Lute's heart when we all came back in the summer.
Yeah.
To just hang out or do one of his Lute Olson basketball events. And we got 30 different guys spanning 25 years who all looked at him as a father figure. That's why he did it. And there's a lot of coaches like Coach O that do it because they want to have that effect on young people. But you've taken their leverage away. And they need leverage in order to be good coaches. And they don't have any right now. And it's terrible. They have none.
No, I'm right there with you. It's funny that you just mentioned Coach O, camp and Coach O All-Stars. And this was not even pre-planned, folks. Like, this just happened. Like, I was cleaning my room the other day and I have a whole bunch of crap all over the floor right here. I came across this. You mentioned Joe McClain. You mentioned the Coach O All-Stars. I had this on the floor. And that's
crazy.
And then it's Joe McClain's jersey.
I'm sending this to Joe. Joe's gonna be in touch with you. He gonna want his shirt back. So we took a picture. I'll get you the picture. We took a picture, and I went home and did the math. It was like 1.2. It was $1.2 billion worth of NBA money on the court, adding up everybody's lifetime earnings from one program. And it wasn't even all our guys, just the guys that came back for the Lute Olson deal. $1.2 billion in career earnings.
That's wild. That's
wild.
Hey,
man.
Well, hey, that was a trip down memory lane and old man basketball philosophy. But we appreciate it anyway, and we appreciate you all for joining us. Again, hit that like button on the way out. We really do appreciate it. And again, go to your favorite podcast platform, rate, subscribe. Go ahead.
Last thing before you sign off, give me your prediction. Arizona, UCLA.
I'm gonna go Arizona 69. Nice. UCLA 63.
I'm with you. I'm in 71-68. Cats squeak it out by 3. Caleb Love comes alive for a 20-point plus performance. It's an NBA arena. It's going to be a ton of scouts in the building. It's time. It's time for my guy to show up.
It is time. Like I said, rate, subscribe, and make sure you download our podcast, the McKale Madness podcast, if you want to listen to it at any point in time. We'll be here every week. Next week, we'll be back on a Tuesday because Arizona plays on Wednesday. And then from that point on, I think we are on Wednesdays from the rest of the season. Corey, you got any games this weekend?
But I've got Wyoming at BYU at the Delta Center Saturday night.
Oh, BYU getting the number 1 recruit in the country at $7 million NIL deal.
And they got a guy over there. You think we got the wizard here? They got to go over there with a checkbook that just has no end to it. So BYU NIL is no joke at all.
BYU is going to be a force in the Big 12 for sure. And hopefully we got somebody with some deep pockets that can hook us up too, because a brother needs a championship before he dies again. So
you can't buy them. They're not for sale.
I know.
Somebody got to die for a loose ball. Somebody got to take a charge. Somebody got to D up. You can win 6 games in March no matter how much you spend if you got the right kids.
Facts. That's Corey Williams. Follow him at College Corey on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow me at Saul_Bookman. You can follow the pod at PHNX _ Wildcats. And again, you can subscribe to the podcast on any particular podcast platform that you like and enjoy. Rate and subscribe. Leave a review, 5 stars. We would really appreciate it. Let's go Cats. Until next time, we love y'all. Peace. Bear down.
We all silly like the mayor.